She had just finished her double shift, her white nurse uniform wrinkled, her shoes soaked with rain, and her heart heavy with exhaustion. The hospital's neon sign flickered behind her as she stepped into the cold night, unaware that one act of kindness was about to change her life forever. Sometimes, destiny disguises itself as a tired old woman, she would later say, but that night, she was just a poor young nurse trying to make it home. Rain poured relentlessly as Aisha clutched her umbrella, walking through the empty street toward the bus stop. Her salary barely covered rent for her tiny shared apartment, yet she never complained. Her patients, especially the elderly ones, always said she had a heart too big for this cruel world. As she reached the corner, she noticed an old woman struggling to stand under a flickering streetlight. The woman's face was pale, her hands trembling as she tried to steady herself on a bench without a second thought. Aisha rushed to her side. "Are you okay, ma'am?" "Please, sit down," she said, slipping her arm around the woman. The stranger looked up weakly, her voice barely audible. I just need a moment." Then her knees gave way. Aisha's instincts kicked in. She knelt on the wet pavement, feeling for a pulse. "Stay with me," she whispered desperately. Her umbrella rolled away, leaving both drenched in the rain. She didn't care. She checked the woman's pulse again. It was faint but steady. She tore a piece of her own scarf to cover the woman's shoulders, then called an ambulance, staying by her side until help arrived. At the hospital, Aisha waited for hours even after her shift ended, soaked, shivering, but unwilling to leave. The doctors said the woman would recover soon, just fatigue, dehydration, and stress. Aisha finally allowed herself to breathe. She didn't know who the woman was, didn't ask. She only cared that she was safe. When the woman opened her eyes the next morning, she saw Aisha sitting beside her bed, still in her damp uniform. "You stayed all night?" the woman asked softly. Aisha smiled. "I couldn't leave. You reminded me of my mother." The old woman's eyes glistened. "What's your name, dear?" "Aisha." "Just a nurse," she replied. "Just a nurse," the woman repeated with a faint smile. "No, my dear, there's nothing just about saving lives." The woman's son arrived that afternoon, tall, well-dressed, with the kind of confidence that filled the room. His name was Zayan Malik, the CEO of Malik Enterprises, one of the biggest companies in the country. Everyone in the hospital recognized him instantly. Aisha didn't. She was too busy helping his mother sit up. Zayan's eyes softened when he saw the nurse holding his mother's hand. "You're the one who found her?" "Yes," Aisha said quietly, stepping aside. "She fainted near the park. She's okay now." He nodded, his voice warm. "Thank you. You don't know what you've done for me." She smiled politely. Anyone would have done the same. But Zayan knew most people wouldn't. After his mother was discharged, Aisha returned to her ordinary life, long shifts, late buses, cheap meals, and quiet dreams. She didn't expect to ever see them again. But fate had other plans. 2 weeks later, Aisha was called to a private hospital wing. She assumed it was another patient request. When she entered the room, she froze. Zayan's mother sat there, radiant and smiling, while Zayan himself stood by the window, his gaze turning to her. "I requested for you personally," the old woman said. "You took care of me when no one else did. I want you to work with me, privately." Aisha hesitated. I can't afford to lose my job." "You won't," Zayan interrupted, his tone firm yet kind. "We'll handle that. My mother needs someone she trusts. You've already proven yourself." And so, Aisha found herself working in the Malik mansion, a world of marble floors, chandeliers, and luxury beyond imagination. Yet she remained humble, her warmth and sincerity never fading. The staff adored her, even Zayan's usually distant mother treated her like family, but life in the mansion wasn't as perfect as it seemed. Zayan was constantly buried in work, dealing with ruthless business rivals and media pressure. His employees feared him, people called him cold-hearted. But Aisha saw something else, the loneliness in his eyes, the quiet exhaustion behind his sharp words. One night, as she served tea in the study, she found him sitting in the dark, his head in his hands. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. He looked up, startled. "You shouldn't be here." "I'm used to helping people who pretend they're fine," she said softly. That broke something in him. For the first time, Zayan smiled, not his usual polite smirk, but a real, tired smile. "You really don't know who you're talking to, do you?" She shook her head. "It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone needs kindness." From that night on, something shifted. He began talking to her about his struggles, his late father, the pressure of running an empire. She listened, offering quiet comfort. Slowly, he began to see the world through her eyes, the value of compassion, the strength of humility. When a scandal broke out in the media accusing his company of corruption, Zayan's world began to collapse. Investors pulled back, board members turned against him, and even his friends disappeared. Through it all, Aisha stayed. She brought him meals when he forgot to eat, sat with his mother when she cried, and defended him when others whispered behind his back. "I don't deserve your loyalty," Zayan told her one night. "Maybe not," she said with a smile. "But you deserve a chance to remember who you really are." Her faith in him reignited something he had lost, a sense of purpose beyond power and wealth. Together, they fought back, exposing the real culprits behind the scandal. When the truth came out, Zion not only cleared his name but also restructured his company to focus on ethics and employee welfare. Aisha's influence written all over it. One evening, after the storm had passed, Zion found her sitting in the garden with his mother. "You changed both our lives," he said quietly. "When you helped my mother that night, I thought you were just a nurse. But now I know you were the miracle we didn't know we needed." Aisha looked up, her eyes glistening. "I didn't do anything extraordinary." Zion smiled. "You showed me that kindness is extraordinary." The garden lights shimmered, and for the first time, the powerful CEO and the poor young nurse felt like equals, not divided by wealth or status, but connected by something deeper. Months later, when the Malik Foundation opened its new hospital wing dedicated to helping the poor, the plaque at the entrance read, "In honor of those who heal not just with hands, but with heart." And beneath it, in small letters, "Inspired by Nurse Aisha." She stood there on opening day, overwhelmed as Zion's mother hugged her. "You saved my life once, dear," the older woman whispered. "But truly, you saved my son's soul." The crowd cheered, cameras flashed, but Aisha's eyes were only on Zion, standing a few steps away, smiling with quiet pride, because in a world driven by power, one small act of kindness had rewritten everything. And as the screen faded to black, a voice echoed softly, "Never underestimate the power of doing good, even when no one is watching."